Hello, YouTube. Oh boy, you wouldn't believe my day. I wanted to report in on what's going on with my my maiden voyage of Faith, the minivan. I don't know if you can see my screen here is messed up. It's I had dropped the phone for the first time in like 5 years. It cracked, and I'm getting ready to get a replacement phone, but I don't have it yet, so this phone's gonna have to make do, and the video's gonna have to make do. I am on my way home from my main voyage to South Florida to test out Faith, the minivan camper that I'm building. As you can see, curtains have been installed. So even though I was in South Florida hanging out at the Hard Rock and stuff, I took some time off to hang out at a local park over there and to try to work some more on the van to turn it into a camper. So it's got nice sleeping arrangement right now, but it still doesn't have the electrical power systems, you know, for running the fans or cooking or anything. So we're going to be working on that later. But here's what happened. I got up this morning at about 7:30, 7 o'clock, and got ready to check out of the hotel, the Dos Hotel, and ended up, I went upstairs to the rooftop to make a little video to show viewers what it's like up there at the top of the Dos with their rooftop swimming pool and the view of the Guitar Hotel. Then went downstairs, you know, with my stuff to check out, and found out, well, I knew already from yesterday that the shuttle between Dos and Hard Rock only runs from like 2 p.m. to 2 a.m. But it was only like 8:15 in the morning, so there was no shuttle running. Now, since I had my van parked over at Hard Rock, it meant that I would have to walk. Yeah. So I ended up walking with my luggage, looked like a homeless person, walking around the street of Hollywood. Crossed over to the hotel, got there, got the vehicle, found out yesterday actually that the metal that was holding onto my my rear view mirror, my side mirror here, somehow disappeared. I don't know if someone took it or it fell off or what, but that mirror is messed up, and I tried to fix it yesterday with latex, but caulking, sort of didn't work, so that's going to need a more permanent repair when I get home. But anyhow, I started to head home at like about 8:30 in the morning. It is 5 o'clock right now in the afternoon, and that's quite a bit of hours. It's like 9 hours. 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, about 9 hours has transpired since I left this morning. When I had checked, I was supposed to get home at about 11:30 a.m. So we are now 5 and a half hours behind. And what had happened was this. I was on I-95, and you know, the vehicle was still running fine, and there was a traffic jam on I-95, and it was caused by a semi truck that had died, that had stopped running in the middle of I-95. So it was all backed up, and I was stuck out there for like an hour, maybe a little over an hour, and decided, you know what, I think I'm gonna take a detour and go eat at Makita Buffet in Jensen Beach. It's one of my favorite restaurants. I don't know if you've seen a video I did on that, and was set to do that. But as I got closer to Jensen, as I was at, I think it's called Hobie Sound, I was looking at the vehicle and saw this button on the radio by the air conditioning and the radio and the temperature control, and it said auto. And I was like, I wonder what this button does. And I pushed the button, and it made a really loud sound, and then I started to lose control of the car. I was like, what the hell? And I tried to turn it off. I hit the auto and it wouldn't shut off. I shut the whole AC system off, and the car still was acting funny and running like real rough, like a tire had blown. mind you, I was doing like 80 miles an hour, 70 to 80, somewhere in there on the interstate. And I was in the fast lane. So I was like, I gotta pull over. You know, I mean, this all happened in a span of like maybe about 3 to 5 seconds, you know. So I was like, I gotta pull over, and I started to pull over, and the car like started to lose control, and I was like, oh my god, I'm gonna flip the van, because I was going really fast. And the right side was like totally out. Managed to gain control by staying calm, you know, when I started to turn and the car started looking like it was gonna flip, you know, and then I just held on tight to the steering wheel and just slowly eased it off the road. I slowed down first, you know, and slowly eased off the road. Got it onto the median. There's the shoulder there on the center, you know, median, and sure enough, my tire had blown. The right side was totally shredded. And I was like, man, that happened right when I hit the auto button. So if you have an auto button in your car, don't push it. Or you'll be sorry. I think it's just bad coincidence. I mean, right when I hit the button, the tire blew at that exact time. So it's very weird. Anyhow, I was like, well, thankfully my AAA had reset, and even though I had to use it on the Grand Caravan, remember it had died on me, and I had to have it towed back, and then we were dealing with that whole situation. So I already used up like some tolls on that thing, and my wife's car had died, and I had to have that towed. So I've been having to have things towed like every week. But I was like, well, I got probably at least one more tow, and luckily I have AAA Plus, so it should be go do 100 miles. I was just hoping I was within the 100 miles. So here's the thing about AAA. I recommend getting a tow service. You know, if you're a van dweller, or even just not even a van dweller, have some kind of towing service, because you might need it in an emergency. The thing about AAA is, like, I think they've been kind of going downhill. They're trying to automate everything. I mean, all companies are trying to do that, which I think is the wrong trend. You got machines handling emergency calls and stuff, and they're not doing a good job. They're doing a terrible job. And, you know, you're in an emergency and can die out there, and machines like just doing crazy stuff. Anyhow, if you try to use a AAA system for roadside assistance, it puts you automatically into automated mode, you know, a computerized system. It won't let you talk to a human. So it says, it comes up and says, you know, when you call, it says they're going to send you a link, a text link, and, you know, you can click that and then put the service out. When you click on it, it asks you, like, if you want to use your precise location or your home address. And then when you hit precise location, it doesn't register anything. And then eventually it selects your home location, like you're at your house. Then it makes a service call for a tow truck or whatever to go to your house. I'm on I-95. I'm on the interstate, and they're going to send a tow truck to my house, bill me, you know, charge me for the tow. What's going to happen is the tow truck shows up at the house, nobody's there, then they write it off and say, well, service call was made, the person wasn't there. Then they charge you for it. Meanwhile, you're still out there on I-95 or whatever, stuck. So I kept trying to get through, and eventually I got through to a human. So I told her, I said, hey, look, the thing's wrong. It's going to send someone to my house. I'm stuck on I-95. And I told her my location. I was like stuck at mile marker 94 on the northbound lane. That's just a little bit south of Hobie Sound. It's like south of Stewart. So she started to get my information, and then the phone cut off and hung up. So I called again, and while I was calling, trying to go through the menu system and stuff, she called me back. So I took the call again and tried to make sure she had all the information correct, and as we were nearing the finish, to complete, it hung up again. So I waited like 5-10 minutes and she didn't call back. So I tried to call one more time and ended up, getting through. So now we're like about an hour out on the road. Still haven't gotten the thing straightened out with AAA. So I finally call and get another person, and she says, yeah, they had keyed it in that I'm on I-95. But I'm telling her, but they didn't even key in the location that I told her I was at. She keyed in a different location on I-95, like I think 10-15 miles north of me, and said that I knew that I was beyond the toll range, even though we didn't even talk about that. Maybe she did when it hung up, but I didn't hear about it, so I didn't know anything about it. So I told the new person, hey, make sure you key it in there. I even wrote notes on there of where I was, that I wasn't at my house, that I was stuck on I-95, and where I was. And she said she should go ahead and make the noted changes. The tow truck should be coming towards me within an hour. So then about 30-40 minutes later, the tow truck guy calls. He says, where are you? And I told him my location. He says, they didn't send me there. I'm going to have to make another loop through. They sent me to the other exit. I said, yeah, I'm over here. So he had to make the changes and then come to get me. So he comes over, okay? And then, while he was coming on his way, Road Ranger, the Florida Road Ranger, people who service cars stuck on the highway, stopped. And he was checking to make sure I was all right. And I said, well, AAA should be on their way. He said, well, do you have a spare tire? Because he could help me. But then I looked. Remember, I just got this vehicle and I hadn't fully checked it all out, which I should have done, but I didn't. I knew there was a spare tire on the bottom in the rear of the Sienna. I didn't know how to get it down. And, I hadn't looked it up or anything because I just didn't get a chance to. So he told me that there's it's like the old Caravan. It has this thing that you have to turn from under the floorboard in the back, and then it'll lower it down. Of course, my van has the camper set up right now. Yeah, so it's got the kitchenette and everything, and I actually screwed stuff together because I didn't have any Velcro and stuff to just temporarily hold parts, the bedding and everything together, the pieces. So everything was kind of bolted down, screwed down. So I'd have to rip apart the whole thing in the middle of I-95, and I don't even have all my tools and everything with me. So I said, I think I'll wait for the tow truck, because he was going to try to help me, replace the tire, and we would have to take the whole thing apart. So he called it in and left. Tow truck shows up, okay, and he's telling me, he says, do you want to tow to a repair facility somewhere, get a new tire? And I was like, well, I'd rather, because I wasn't sure if that would be the only thing. And what I had noticed when I had looked at that tire that had shredded, I was like, I don't know what caused it. It just went out like suddenly, very fast. And then I looked at the other tire on the other side, and I saw it was kind of dry rotted. I was like, oh, great. Apparently the tires are dry rotted, at least the two front tires. I quickly checked the rears, and they looked to be good. What it was all four tires had really good thread depth. They're almost like new. But I suspect this vehicle had been sitting a long time, because it was kind of like dry rotted, the two front ones, and that's probably why it blew. So I said to the guy, let's go ahead and just tow it to my house. He goes, oh, you're going to be 18 miles over the 100-mile limit. That'll be about $160 extra that I would have to pay. So for 18 miles over, it's like it was like $116 or $160. I think it was $160. So I was like, man, for towing 18 miles, you have to pay $160. So definitely worth getting AAA if you can get them to show up and tow you. But anyhow, so I was like, well, if that's the case, maybe you should tow me to a tire place nearby. You know, and if you can tow me to a place that has used tires, that would be even better. So he knew of a place and took me there. So we go over there, and he starts to get ready to unload, and I talk to the tire guy, and he doesn't have any tires my size. So I was like, crap. So then the tow truck driver loaded everything back up, okay, and then said, okay, he knew of one more other place that we could try. So we went to the other used tire repair place down there, and like around Stewart, or you know, south of Stewart, and that guy had one tire, but you know, by then I had seen that the driver's side was also dry rotted. It looked like it was dry rotted to me. I mean, there were cracks along the wall of the tire. So I was like, I want to do two tires. I want to do both front tires. I don't want to just do the right side and then while I'm driving, the left side now blows out. But he only had one tire. So I asked the tow truck driver to see if he could take me to like Walmart, super center with a tire place. And so that's what the plan was. So the tow truck driver then started to drive me towards the Walmart, the Stewart Walmart, and I called ahead to talk to the manager of the tire department. And he was like, yeah, they have the tires. You know, they have at least two of the tires that I need in my size. But he's getting ready to leave, but also they are, you have to normally have an appointment. All the Walmarts now require appointments for like doing like, you know, tire, even oil changes and stuff like that. You can't just show up anymore. You have to make an appointment. So, yeah, I let him know that it was kind of an emergency and that I had a blowout and stuff. So he said, look, well, he could if he was still there, he would let me in, even though they're supposed to have an appointment. He was being nice to me, being kind. So I said, yeah, we're like less than 5 minutes away. So we show up, right? And I'm all happy. Tow truck driver drops me off. I tip the tow truck driver for saving me there. Yeah, Walmart takes the car into their bay and starts to work on it. And they look at the tire and the lug nut. There's a locking lug nut. The tire has a lug nut lock. So the Walmart employees come up to me and say, hey, do you have the key for the lug nut, the lock? I'm like, I don't know anything about a lock. So we look in the glove compartment, and I look all around the car, and I can't find the lug nut lock. I'm like, this is great. No lug nut lock. How are we going to do that? And Walmart guys said, well, they can't really do a car with a lug nut lock unless we have a lug nut lock. The other thing is, what they would be willing to do for me, they could break the lug nut, okay, but then I would have to have a replacement lug nut. So they suggested that I call Toyota. So I called the nearest Toyota, and the Toyota service department guy says to me that they don't have lug nut locks for this model car. The 2007 is when they started using lug nut locks. So that means the lug nut locks that I have on here is probably aftermarket. So I might want to check with AutoZone or Discount Auto or whatever. And so I call AutoZone, and you know, I asked them if they sell like aftermarket lug nut locks, and he's like, he wouldn't know what kind, you know. But I asked, well, do you have regular lug nuts? And he says, yeah, they may have them, or he'll check. He thinks he has some. So I'm on a quest now to get lug nuts because Walmart was willing to break the lug nut lock, but they won't do the car without having all the lug nuts on it. It's a liability issue. So I would have to get replacement lug nut for that. And they recommended that I get 4 because chances are all 4 tires have the lug nut lock on it. And that way I can replace them all, you know, or have 2 spares extra. Well, I told them I wanted to do both front tires. And the rear, you know, if they're in good shape and not about to rot and blow up, I'll keep them on. So now I had to try to get a ride. I mean, this became really complicated. I had to get a ride, and you know, I was looking at trying to get Uber, but you know, remember how Uber wiped me out like $600, $400, $500, $600, I don't know, between all the different Uber rides I had to deal with the car. It's been expensive. So I started asking around to the service guys, you know, I was like, any of you want to drive me around and make some money? And they're like, nah, not able to. So I go back to the service manager and I say, hey, you know, here's the situation. I need to get new lug nuts. They're going to have to break the lock, and then they can do the tire, because otherwise they won't do the tire. So he says to ask some of his employees. So I was able to get one guy. I was able to get one guy there to be willing to drive me. Yeah. So he drove me. You know, we were starting to head out. We saw a discount auto part or advanced auto parts. Decided to stop by there. So I went in there and showed him the nut, you know, the lug nut, and the guy's like, well, what year? And he looks it up and he says, oh, we don't carry these. They're too old. And that was kind of the same thing the Toyota guy had said. Your car's too old. We don't carry the spares, parts for older cars. We only carry stuff for newer cars. Because nobody really fixes these old cars. Now I was like, oh, great. So if I can't get a lug nut, Walmart won't fix my tire. I'm stuck, and I got to be back at work tomorrow. So then we're like, well, we have one more shot, you know, which is discount auto. So maybe we can go to Pray and just go to discount auto to see if they have it. And we drive up to discount auto, and thank God they had the nut. But they didn't have 4. I needed 4. Well, I wanted 4. I only needed 1. But I wanted 4 to cover all 4 tires. I'm going to have the other ones taken off, you know, in case this happens again. So, bought all 3, got back to Walmart, and they got the 2 front tires put on. So, by then it was like almost 4 o'clock. It was like 3:30 in the afternoon. And I was close to the Makita buffet. So I decided to stop by there for a late lunch, early dinner, which is what I did. Kind of pigged out, you know. If you've ever seen my video of Makita buffet, they have the best Chinese buffet here, I think, in the world. It's just extremely good. So I kind of pigged out there, and then I've been heading back home since, you know. So, oh, I did stop and check the repair on the exhaust manifold, and I don't think it fixed it. I looked along the black stuff, and I can see a cracked line along the whole thing. So when I get home or something, I might take a piece of grass or feather and put it by there and see if it blows when the engine's running. If the feather or whatever blows along that crack, that means exhaust is coming out, which means my repair did not take. It covered up the hole, but the air just blew out somewhere else through the black stuff. So that's what may be happening right now. Car is still running, seems to be running fine, but I might have an issue still with the cracked manifold. So may have to try some of the other suggestions. Some people suggested that they do have manifold paste, exhaust paste. So I'm going to look at that. May have to order this stuff online, because locally I don't seem to be able to find any of this stuff. unless I'm just not looking at the right shops or stores or something. But I'm going to Google it. Well, first I'm going to check to see if my repair actually is still leaking. If it's leaking, then I'll have to try something else, you know, because I don't want to be driving around with fumes. It may be why I'm so sleepy right now. So, the moral of the story, the lesson to be learned here is this. One, make sure you have AAA Plus to get 100-mile towing or some other service that will allow that kind of towing. So make sure that's current and you have it for emergency. And make sure that if your car, check your car tire lug nuts and see if any of them have a lock on them, a locking nut, a locking lug. If they do, you got to make sure you have the key or whatever to unlock the lug nut, or you're not going to be able to change the tire because that stuff locks on. And I guess I was fortunate that they could bust it. I don't even know how to bust one, but I guess the tire shops know how to bust them because it would be a common occurrence. And then replace it with a regular lug nut. So that way, if you have a flat or something and you need to fix your tire, you can do it, because without that key you can't get the tire off. Without getting the tire off, you're stuck because of a stupid nut. So I am now back in Brevard County. Not home yet, but I made it so far back to Brevard. So car seems to be running well, just like it did going down there. So I'm praying and hoping that everything will be okay, but I will have to deal with the manifold situation still. Also, my back window vent seems to be stuck in the open position. So that is something else. You know, it opened and now it doesn't want to shut. The reason I have it open is to vent. I've got I have the window shut right now because I'm recording. But as soon as I finish this recording, I'm going to open the front windows a little bit and let air blow through, just in case I'm breathing exhaust fumes. So that's where we're at. So my free weekend wasn't so free. It was free for the Hard Rock experience, the concert, the hotels, the windbreaker, the fitness watch. You know, I don't know if I can show you this here. They gave me a nice box here with a little fitness watch. So got to get that thing charged up, and then I can take my blood pressure and see that it's off the charts right now. Anyhow, I'm gonna go ahead and sign out, but just wanted to leave you that tip. Make sure you have AAA. Make sure that you check your lug nuts, and if you have a lock on it, make sure you have the key available. But if it were me, I would just get rid of I don't know why they make the locking lug nuts. I guess people steal tires. You know, you must be in an area where people steal tires a lot or something. But it ends up being an issue where when you have an emergency, you need to change your tire, and if you don't have that key, for whatever reason, if you don't have that key, you're in trouble. You know, and Walmart, as a policy, will not do it if you don't have all lugs on the car. I had asked them if, hey, can you just like inflate the tire and I'll put it back on myself? They said no, they can't do that. It's still a liability on them. So just a little something that I learned today. Until next time, everyone, take care. God bless you all. Stay safe. And remember, check your lug nuts. And also make sure you have AAA or some other towing service. Take care now.